um, dealing with this waste throughout circular economy. And since we are here in the Emirates, which produces mostly palm dates, date palm, so I will be discussing this topic as a case study. I will be brief. However, we can be discussing. So feel free to interrupt me or to ask me anything at any moment. Thank you. So, as we might know, the food waste is nowadays gaining a huge interest all around the world. If we want to talk in numbers, we have around 1 billion tons of food which is wasted annually. So 1 billion is a huge number. And it's not only a number, it contributes to 10% of the CO2 and the carbon emission around the world. It helps, or it uses around 300 million barrels of oil. Around 25% of fresh water used is wasted throughout this approach, and it consumes around 2 million kilometers square of land. So knowing that the Emirates is around 70,000 kilometers square, so it's more than 30 times the dimension, the area of the Emirates. So each year these quantities are consumed, these resources are used in order to produce food which is finally wasted. So this is the importance of this topic, and this is why we are here to discuss this. In fact, all these are based on the UNEP 2021 results. I will not dig into these details. However, we should know that China is the #1 generator of food waste around the world, followed by by India and the United States, and so on. And it's important to understand that the countries, based on their dimensions, generate waste, which is logic. But the consumer awareness also help in reducing the amount of waste. So if you can see in the yellow values, so Australia, which is a developed country, is one of the most countries which produces waste per capita. So each person in Australia generates around 102 kilograms of waste per year, which is a huge amount. So there is a complexity in dealing with food waste in terms of producers as well as consumers. Now I have added these points in red because they are red alert light. So we need to take care about these data. However, the green light or the opportunities is there. So governments are increasingly introducing policies to tackle food waste, which is estimated to be around $1 trillion per year. So this is based on the World Economic Forum in 2022. So the latest data. So $1 trillion per year is a wasted opportunity. Okay, we as scientists see it as volumes and quantities. Governments and private sector see it as economic value and opportunities. So, and here is the merged effort which should be done between the public sector and the private sector. So can we see the $1 trillion opportunity here? In fact, just to tap into some more information, the UAE generates around 10 million tons of food waste per year, which is already a big quantity, and per capita is around 175 kilogram per capita. So each person in the UAE generates around 175 kilograms of waste per year. As for the economic value for the government and private sector, we have around $3.5 billion as a wasted economic value to be perceived as opportunities. So this is the context. Okay, this is an overview on the food waste at the global level. as well as some dig into details at the Emirati market. When we talk about opportunities, we do not talk about only about economic opportunities. So we do not perceive it only as this wasted $1 trillion per year. We perceive it as social impact, as environmental impact, and as well as an economic impact. And here comes the value. So whenever we talk about waste, we need to tackle it throughout the sustainable development approach. And in the next few minutes, we will be discussing the circular economy as an approach, as a tool to valorize this wasted opportunities. So the economic value of the waste, we have tackled it. I think we do not need to talk about the environmental value of managing waste. We already discussed the 300 million barrel of oil, the 25% of the quantities of the fresh water. So it's already a huge impact on the environment. Whenever we reduce this impact, we emphasize and we valorize our environmental resources. As a social impact, we know that waste is a polluting industry, is a polluting material. We know that waste can impact community health, and we know that managing waste can generate income, can generate work opportunities. Therefore, this is the loop which we would like to be into. And here comes the linear versus circular economy. Does anyone know, is familiar with the circular economy approach? Raise hand if someone. Okay, thank you. Is anyone familiar with the linear economy approach? Okay, thank you as well. So the linear economy approach is the conventional approach for doing businesses, which has been done throughout the last 50 years. So during the last 50 years, most of the companies and the businesses around the world use this model. So resource extraction, production, distribution, consumption, and waste. So this was the conventional method of doing business. No one cared about the circularity. No one cared about the waste because resources were abundant. And fine, we still have resources, but we need now to tweak them to know how to manage them. This is first. Nowadays, during the last 10 to 15 years, due to some global effort and global awareness, the concept of circular economy has been on the rise. So people, academia, governments, and global institutions started to introduce the circular economy approach. So as you can understand or you can estimate from its name, the circular economy approach is an approach which relies on circularity. So we do not talk anymore about a linear economy. So from resource utilization to waste, we talk about from resource extraction and production to recycling sector. So any kind of a byproduct of a food waste is nowadays under the microscope to be discussed. What can we do with this byproduct? What can we do with this waste? What can we do with this side stream? Okay, so all these questions are questions which has been on a rise during the last 10 years. Of course, there are some countries which are more advanced in this questioning with respect to other countries. I come from Lebanon. So does anyone know about the waste crisis in Lebanon? Thanks God. Okay. Okay, so we had in 2015 we had an enormous crisis related to food waste, which is still ongoing. However, this is not our main discussion, but I just wanted to tap into the advancement of some developed countries in dealing with food waste management and some delays with other countries. I'm sure that you come from several countries with discrepancies in how to manage food waste. This is a common global issue with which should be tackled with common global efforts. Okay. If we want to talk about the local context in the Emirates, okay, so I tapped into the local context of the Emirates because we are hosted here in the Emirates. So I thought it would be good to understand the Emirati context nowadays. The UAE National Food Security Strategy for the 2051. I don't know why they have tackled until 2051 and not 2050, but this is a good question to ask the government. However, they have divided the strategy into 5 pillars. Okay, so the first pillar and the most important pillar is to facilitate agribusiness trade and diversity with international food sources. So the Emirati wants to diversify their sources of products and their sources of businesses with any stakeholder related to technology and advancement in the field of the agribusiness. In fact, this is where comes the second point. The second point is to enhance the sustainable technology-enabled domestic food. So Emirati are funding, are developing the technology related to agri-food businesses in order to emphasize and to increase the sustainability and the food security of their communities. But which is important is the third point, mainly with our context. So the third point related to the national food security for the 2051 is to reduce food waste and loss. So now our discussion comes to a serious level. So if the Emirati government has already established this pillar as a main pillar for the food security, there should be a why. And after the why, there should be a how. How shall the Emirati government tackle the food waste management, tackle the food loss into opportunities? Do you remember the number? What is the number? What is the economic value of the food waste in the Emirates? 3.5 billion US dollars per year. Thank you. Okay, so I think that the Emirati government is tackling this economic value as opportunities to increase and enhance the food security among its community. And the how would be throughout a secret recipe. Okay, it's not that secret, and it tackles 3 main pillars. So the first pillar would be the technical support. Okay, so there should be a technical support. The technical support generally comes throughout the linkages between research and academia with industrials. So nowadays in the Emirates, there are a lot of initiatives which foster research industry linkages. I come from a background, so I'm the manager of the food cluster, which has one main mission is to create and foster linkages between research and industry. And this is a very important tool. The know-how should be transferred from research and academia into the industry. There is another pillar which is very important as well, which is finance. So no one will do research, no one will do a technical support without a serious financial scheme or financial plan. So the financials come generally from the private sector, from the insurance, from the global institutions tackling such fund. And this is why there is the Global Climate Fund now. There are many types of global funds tackling the circular economy approach. And most importantly, and this is what the Emirat government has already done, the policy and legislation. So she has set a strategy, she is developing policies in order to reach this strategy. And now in the Emirates, there is the ground, there is the platform for the tackling of such an issue. So for the tackling of the enhancement of the circular economy. Okay? So these are the 3 main pillars. This is the secret recipe, but there is always a secret ingredient which is not dispatched in a recipe, right? Which is accountability. Okay, so if there is no accountability, if there is no responsibility, if there is no the I in it, so I am responsible, I am accountable for the achievement, there will be no circular economy. So there would be technical support, there would be finance, there would be policies, but there would be no impact because there is no accountability. Okay, so this is the poetic approach out of it, but it is real. We are human beings. We need to be accountable. The last part of my discussion, of my intervention, is some concrete examples. We are not talking about dreams. We are not talking about some potential projects. The future is here. The future is already available in our hands. We know that wheat straws are being transformed and are being already marketed in the market as bioplastic and bio tools, biowares, and biomaterials throughout Wageningen University and research, which we are collaborating with as COOT as a technology and knowledge partner for our members. And Wageningen University is the most important and prestigious university in the world. It's a Dutch university, and it's a leader in disseminating concepts and strategies and methods about circular economy. So this is already real. I think if someone has a bottle, anyone has a plastic? Can you read what's on it? It's made out of bioplastic. Because I already have it in my hands yesterday, I guess. It's important to read anyways. It's important to read anything you consume because this is part of the personal and self-awareness. I'm almost confident that your bottle is from a bioplastic source. So the techniques are here. Okay, maybe not this brand, maybe another brand, but I will make sure. Another initiative and another example is the bandages. Okay, so in Singapore, there is one national fruit which is the durian fruit. Okay, this durian fruit has around 50% of waste. So we consume 50% of the weight of the product, and the other 50% is discarded. So what has been done is a transformation of this husk, of this residue, into a gel bandage. So instead of having a plastic bandage with a paper or a cotton-based material, we are doing it throughout circular economy. And this is very important. And it appeared that this bandage has an antibacterial effect as well. So it has an added value with respect to regular bandages. These are products that are being commercialized nowadays and that has been in the market. But what is not in the market and what is not fully tackled nowadays is the date palm in the Emirates and all around the world. Okay, and here comes the last part of my presentation. The statu quo of the palm dates in the Emirates and what can be done with the palm dates residues. So as you know, around 8.5 million tons of of dates are being produced on a yearly basis. It's a huge quantity, and around 9% of this quantity is produced in the Emirates. So Emirates is responsible of the production of around 9% of the dates at the global level. They produce around 600,000 tons of dates per year. And as we can imagine, nothing is produced without any waste. So besides the waste of the fruit, which is the seed, there is a lot of other types of waste on the plantation side and the processing side. So, as by my research, around 20 million trees of palm dates is grown here in the Emirates. And each mature palm date generates around 25 kilograms of waste per year. So the waste comes from the trimming, comes from several shaping and maintenance activities for the date, for the palms. However, if we make the calculations, we have around 500,000 tons of palm trees waste generated in the Emirates every year. So it's 500,000 of kilos of waste from one single crop. This is a richness, guys. Okay, so 500,000 ton of waste from one side stream product. It's a really it's a resource per se. Okay, so can you imagine what can we do with this 500,000 ton of waste? What can be done based on your thinking? What can be done with such a waste? It is an organic waste, right? It's a tree. It's a vegetable waste. So it's an organic. What can we do with organic matters? Please. Compost, therefore fertilizers, biochar, or biogas. Of course, this is one solution. Other solutions. I'm sorry? Thank you.
There's already something being done about it. It's being, there's a project that's being used, ingredients and crushed in a specific way to be used as feed for animals.
Great, as feed for animals. So,
Replacement of fiber.
as replacement of fiber. Great. Okay, is there any? I know, and this is what we'll be seeing in the next slide. So thank you. Any other solution? So compost, biofuel, food or feed ingredients.
There's a factory, I think, Zeidan, that's doing MDF.
So here we go. Thank you for tapping into almost all the solutions. However, all these solutions should be emphasized and should be duplicated. So the gentle lady, first off, has suggested the composting and biochar product. So the mostly used technique, the mostly conventional technique, let's say, is using this bio-waste as a fertilizer for the soil throughout composting or throughout pyrolysis in order to make it as a biochar and as a fertilizer for the soil. This has been done from centuries and centuries. So our ancestors used to do this. This is the mostly conventional method of using any kind of bio-waste, not only dates, any kind of bio-waste. The less conventional, which has been developed in the last 30 years, more or less, is the biofuel. However, the efficiency of using the palm date residues as a biofuel is still under negotiation. So it is not as energy efficient as expected. So you need more heat to produce energy. So this is still under development. In fact, there are some research which are tackling a new method of valorizing, a new method of developing biofuel out of the palm dates. So this is why I put them in the orange side, because there are still under processing, under development. Substrate for active carbon and for water desalination and depolluting agents. So there are some studies nowadays that, knowing that in the Emirates we need desalination, we need depollution agents, instead of using some chemicals, which are the conventional method, the use of these palm dates as a tool to desalinate and depollute the water is being under testing as a carbon filter. So it seems that throughout pyrolysis, throughout burning at high temperature, they have a high potential to capture pollutants and to desalinate the water. So instead of relying on import to use as a substrate for this matter, now we can use some from our local resources. Thank you for mentioning the MDF, which is the project which has been launched in 2021, I guess, in the Emirates. So this is already used. So natural fiber composite. Natural fiber composite is the most beneficial solution for the moment for such a waste, because the waste is huge. The fiber of the palm is diversified, so we have some strong fibers, we have some weak fibers. So if we use the strong fibers as a natural fiber composite, it would be a really added value instead of using synthetic composite. So this is an option, and this is a really valid option. And concrete examples is being already in the market on few miles from Abu Dhabi. So this is a really lovely initiative to be built on. Some raw materials for food and or feed products. So transforming these raw materials into fructose sweetener, glucose, coffee-like products, coffee without any caffeine. So a decaffeinated product is also under development, and ethanol or butanol production. So as the waste as a raw material for feed, for functional feed and food product is already established and needs to be built on. And last, the pharmaceutical use is also being under development and under testing, which also has an added value. So some byproducts from the seeds have shown that they have some antioxidant and enzyme inhibitory potential treatment for neurodegenerative illnesses, for metabolic and for skin disorder problems. So the field is open, the know-how is here, the opportunity is just ahead. All what we need is to join effort, and all what we need is to share our information and our advancement in order to make our future a better one. Thank you. And if you have any question, I'm here to discuss. Thank you. Any question? Please. Is there any room for questions? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, please.
Thank you for the insights. I want to ask regarding policy regulation. What do you think is the tipping point or the main aspect of change that can transform us from circular economy to circular economy?
It's a good question. In fact, there are many initiatives which has been done in order to stress the private sector on the importance of circular economy. First of all, the taxation on the waste generated. So each kilo of generated waste, depending on the type, has a specific taxation rate. So as much as you reduce your waste, you reduce your taxes. So this is a first and most important aspect to reduce the waste because it touches the pocket of the industry. Another aspect is the emphasis and the funding, the support of some policymakers to join efforts between research and industries. So, for instance, 2 weeks ago, I was with the European Commission in Belgium related to the Horizon Europe. Horizon Europe is a 100 billion euro fund, most of it related to climate change research. So this is a concrete example from the EU Commission to support EU researchers transfer knowledge to industrials, and not only Europe, it was only for the neighboring European country, and this is why I went there as a Lebanese to understand how to seek opportunities. So this is another example. Taxation, fostering research and development for this impact. And I think that the last and most important point is raising awareness for consumers, for end users. So I think that European communities have already a raised level of awareness related to such topics. So EU communities seek green labels. So if you search again for your bottle now, I'm confident that a European community would prefer a water bottle from a bioplastic with respect to a conventional plastic. So raising awareness, policies related to raising awareness is very important. So this is what comes on mind, basically 3 main points. Taxation, industry related, finance related, and consumer related. Thank you. Any other question?